Hey guys, what is going on? What is up? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you're watching in from. Big Daddy Bitcoin is striking back right now. Bitcoin is up over 11% when you're talking about a crypto asset of that. You're talking about a cryptocurrency that is that big and that valuable. 11% is quite a lot of money and quite a lot of volume to make a move like that happen. Over $23 billion in 24-hour volume right now for Bitcoin. So money is pumping into Bitcoin for the time being, and that is pulling a lot of money out of the altcoins. The hot altcoins for the past month and a half that everybody who has put money into them has loved, has made a ton of money off of, is just that have been killing it. They're pulling back a pretty good percentage right now, especially when you're comparing that to Bitcoin. Not just from a US dollar percentage, but also from a Bitcoin perspective. You're looking at Ripple pulling back 22% from Bitcoin. You're looking at Cardano pulling back about 22%. Stellar Lumens pulling back 22%. Ethereum, after crushing over $1,000 recently, that's pulled back about 12% in comparison to Bitcoin. IOTA, Neo, basically all the hot coins of the past month and a half have cooled off a little bit right now. So I want to talk a little bit about if you've had money in those cryptocurrencies, what should you be doing? What should you be thinking? Is now going to be this big Bitcoin run that's going to continue to suck out all the money out of the altcoins? Or are you going to be, you're going to be fine, you're going to be okay? And we'll get into all of that today. One quick note, though, that likely no crypto happy hour tonight, but I actually am going to be having an interview this evening with Donnie Crypto. I'll put a link to his Twitter below, but I actually had a chance to meet with him and a couple other people at out for beers in New York pretty recently. Liked what he had to say about the space, and he's going to come on. We're going to talk a little bit about trading, and he has a lot more experience in the trading space than I do, so I'm excited to kind of gather his thoughts and pass those along to you and hopefully provide you with some great insight from Donnie. So keep an eye out for that. That should be a really good video about just crypto trading and kind of what he's doing in the space. So we'll hop into that later. But like I said, kind of kicking off the video today, Bitcoin is up right now. It's over 16, really over 16.5 at this point in time. It's made a very strong move, which has been great to see, especially for anybody that's had money in Bitcoin that's just kind of been chilling there for quite some time. Bitcoin we'll pull up the chart here. Bitcoin has kind of rocketed in the past day from the sub $15,000 mark in the past day, from sub $15,000, actually from really sub 14.8. all the way up to, at one point in time, $16,600. It's sold off a little bit now, above $16,300. But with that move up has come a pretty concerted move down from, like I said, some of those altcoins. So Ripple has taken quite a bit of hit from a Bitcoin trading pairing perspective, also from a US dollar, from a fiat standpoint as well. Cardano has also pulled back quite a bit. A lot of the other, basically a good majority of the altcoins, there have been a select number that have pumped hard. Shout out AirSwap. What is up, AST? Thank you, AirSwap, for saving the portfolio today along with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin has definitely sucked some money out of the altcoins. And a lot of people are saying this was kind of the resistance level that many people are pointing to, at least that from a technical perspective. The people that I kind of trust in the industry were saying the 16, between like 16.2 to 16.5, 16.6 is a range where if Bitcoin could break through that, you might be looking at all-time highs again. And this should be interesting to see how this pans out if Bitcoin can break past 16.6, 16, really get into that $17,000 range, because if you see it get back into that $17,000 range, I think it's going to be $17,000 and then next stop $19,000 and $20,000. So this will be pretty interesting to watch. And if it does get into that $17K, what's that going to do for the altcoins? What is that going to mean for you if you have a ton of money in the altcoins? And I personally think that if Bitcoin goes on a concerted run here, continues this movement, and doesn't pull back off of it, but if we're seeing $17,000 Bitcoin, $18,000 Bitcoin, those alts probably going to get a little bit depressed, I think, for Bitcoin to make that type of move up. Typically, a lot of money has to move out of some of these other positions that people have made so much money in. And that brings me to a couple other points here, too. So Luke Martin at VentureCoinist on Twitter, I thought had a really good tweet pretty recently, actually, talking about the age-old debate as to whether you should just hold or actively trade. It's saying that while I think overtrading is counterproductive, taking profits when Bitcoin has potential to move higher to be able to buy altcoins now after a drop gives you a better chance of earning more Bitcoin with a better value entry. And I think that is a really interesting point. And I've talked a little bit about holding and trading before, and I think some people give me a little bit of crap as far as, hey, you really don't do much technical, you don't really do any technical analysis, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's because I don't have that skill set, so I'm not going to hop on here and draw a couple lines and act like there are not 7,000 people that know technical analysis better than I do. But when it comes to trading versus holding as well, I've said in the past, and I definitely think that for certain crypto out there, holding is a fantastic thing. Like for Bitcoin, I think you should always buy and hold a specific portion of your portfolio in Bitcoin, whether or not you think Bitcoin is an antiquated old piece of crap that you can't get any transactions through. If you think that, that's fine. But if you're looking at it from a straight investment perspective, Bitcoin is and I think still will be for the medium to long-term future a solid investment, a solid portion of your portfolio, which is why I still have it as like 25-30% of my portfolio, sometimes up to 50% of my portfolio on any given day. And from an active trading perspective too, I think taking profits, it's important. The hot thing is always to hodl. When you're looking at something like XRP or Cardano, and I'll pull up Cardano too because that's one that I've obviously been a big fan of, so I'll pull it up on Bittrex. But having myself personally got in the 3 cents range back like November I think it was November 17th was my entry point on Cardano. So if this chart ever loads here, we'll see. So yeah, back here, kind of November 17th or so is my entry point. Yesterday and 2 days ago, I took a little bit of, so like I said in the previous video, I took my initial investment out and a small portion of profit. And that wasn't because I have a lack of faith in the Cardano project whatsoever. I think Charles Hoskinson and kind of all the technical advancements, the new roadmap they released, I think are fantastic. But I do think that when something goes up this hard, this fast, sometimes taking a little bit of profit isn't the worst thing in the world. I definitely don't think so. And I don't recommend that anybody just blindly hold for the sake of blindly holding. Have a plan. When you go into something, have a specific plan. Is there a number that you want to hit from a profit perspective? And if you hit that number, will you be happy? Will you, will that satisfy you? If you're looking for a 50% profit, if you're looking for a 200% profit, I don't care. I mean, it's crypto. You could easily get a 500% profit or something of that nature. But try to have a plan going into it. And if you get to a certain point where you're looking at your Blockfolio account or you're looking at your Delta account or whatever it is, or you're just in Binance or Bittrex or on GDAX, and you're like, wow, this has gone up through the roof and I have too much money. Taking profit is never a bad thing because there are a lot of people today that are learning a couple different things. A lot of people that might have been new in the space, you're looking at your Blockfolio or your Delta account, you're seeing how much money or how many Bitcoin you have in there with all your altcoins going through the roof. And then you flip open today and those altcoins are down 25% and you're like, oh, wow, this sucks. Not saying that they're not going to go back up and not saying that this might not be the start of a decent buy opportunity. But I also think that, taking profits potentially back into Bitcoin or back into wherever you want to put them is never a bad move. And I don't think anybody should tell you otherwise. It's your money. You should be able to do what you want to do with it. And you should take the approach that you want to approach. If you want to hold till the moon, good. Hold to the moon. But if somebody tells you that you're a weak hand for taking profits, I disagree with that personally. That's kind of my disagreement is, I think you should be able to take profits when you want to take profits, especially if you have something that goes up 1,000% and you put in a little bit of money and that little bit of money is now a lot of bit of money, maybe life-changing money, whatever it might be. It could become even more life-changing money or it could evaporate 50% and there you go. So that's something I think you should consider. And then also to this point too, I've joked a little bit around about Ripple and to a lesser extent about Cardano, but about Cardano too. And I've missed out on a lot of pumps. Don't get me wrong, I've missed out on a ton of pumps, and that hasn't always been fun. watching something go up and up and up. But a lot of times the reason I miss out on pumps and the reason I miss out on these like extended moves is because I'm terrified of buying the top. I'm a chicken and I don't want to buy the top. And the reason I don't is because when something like this happens, we'll pull it up here. Let's just say kind of this candle right here. We'll go down to where we're trading at right now. If you quote unquote bought the top of Cardano, right now you're down about 23%. You're going to need to have a 30x move at this, or not, excuse me, a 30x move, a 30% move. Basically, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but where you're at right now, if you bought the top on, quote unquote, on Ripple or Cardano or on Stellar Lumens, just went so excited, you're going to need not just a 22% move. You're actually going to need more than that. You're going to need like a 30% move just to recover your initial investment, which is why in a lot of cases I miss out on opportunities because I don't like trying to invest in something that has just been moving upwards. And that's a little bit of the reason, too, of taking some of those profits in the initial investment. That was kind of the goal of yesterday's video, too, where I talked about taking some of that out and diversifying it into some of these altcoins. Because rather than just continually buying into a crypto like a Cardano or a Stellar or an XRP that has gone up and up and up 500, 1,000, 1,500%, whatever it is, trying to find some maybe undervalued assets that haven't pumped yet. I think that is, for me, that was the strategy that I took yesterday. And in some cases, it's worked well. And then some of those crypto assets have pulled back. So for one that I was interested in recently, AirSwap, I was looking at that as a crypto that was fairly undervalued in terms of its overall price. Solid technology, a little bit early from a roadmap perspective, like no 0x, which I also have money in, but I like the decentralized exchange theory or I like that type of investment pattern right now because I think it's early, but if and when they do pop from a utilization perspective and from a usability standpoint, those can be very strong tokens to hold. So I liked 0x, but 0x is about 4 or 5 times more valuable than AirSwap was. But AirSwap is a team backed by consensus, solid guys in place, solid folks in place at AirSwap. And from everything I've heard and from all the people that I've spoken to, they were on par with the tech, or they enjoyed the technology as much as I did at the white paper and kind of what they were trying to do. And it's a different approach. So I looked at that as an opportunity to potentially get something, take some of those Cardano profits and the initial investment that I had, and then move that to somewhere where maybe that hasn't pumped as much. And while I might miss out on some existing Cardano profits or some future Cardano profits because of that, I might find something that could have a fairly significant multiple from there in the future as well. So looking at this though today, I mean, outside of AirSwap, some of the other things in my portfolio, they've gone up, they've gone down. Really the only two things in my portfolio that have done well has been Bitcoin and AirSwap. Outside of that though, I think that when you see these big Bitcoin runs, whether it's just for today or if it ends up being for an extended period of time and Bitcoin ends up breaking through $17,000, $18,000, $19,000, and you see an all-time high. When that happens, I think that's a really good point in time because the altcoins are most likely, or in some cases, at least against the cost of Bitcoin, or at least on a Bitcoin trading perspective, they might get fairly depressed in terms of their valuation. That's a fantastic time to look at, whether you're a fan of something like Stellar Lumens, or if you're a fan of something like Ripple, or whatever it might be, or if it's Dash, or if it's Litecoin, or whatever it might be, if it's Tron. Like if those crypto assets, if they start dropping in comparison to Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes on a run, then I think that's always a good time to start just kind of dollar cost averaging your way in on the way down if you like to build a position. Because while I personally think and have thought that a lot of these altcoin valuations have gotten pretty crazy, and even Bitcoin's has gotten pretty crazy, but I think a lot of these valuations have gotten pretty crazy. Buying in on any level of a 25, 30, 40% dip, that has traditionally worked out pretty well in crypto. Traditionally. Not saying it will in the future, but that's the type of thing there. If you can continue to make that movement, buying in at a little bit of a dip, at a little bit of a dip, at a little bit of a dip, and building a position where you're really comfortable. If you love Ripple, if you're Mr. XRP the standard, then great. Then buy in on the dip now. If it goes down more, buy a little bit more. But we'll have to see how that ends up playing out long term. Outside of that, too, like I said, I have the interview coming up with Donnie Crypto today, so that should be very interesting. Looking forward to having that conversation and getting that video up. Hoping to have his color, as far as I know he is a pretty active trader across the board, has been for quite some time. So I'm interested to get his insights on his strategies overall. I'm sure I can personally learn a lot from him, and that's something that with the channel that I'm looking to do here too, is because I've asked you guys for feedback. I'm very much open to feedback, and I think that there is a lot that I can learn from a lot of people in the space, and I've been trying to go out in person and meet people, learn from those people as well, and I've always recommended that you try to do that, whether it's in person, online, whatever. Try to meet as many people as you can, try to learn from them, and I'd like to not only in the form of myself kind of relaying secondhand information, I'd like to start speaking to as many people that are involved in this space as possible and passing along their message to you, so that you can hopefully take some small bits of insight here and there and apply that to the way you want to approach things. So I'm excited to see how that ends up panning out. Whether or not you're heavy Bitcoin, you're heavy alts, whatever it might be, good luck in the marketplace today, tomorrow, well into the future. Crypto Bobby signing out. I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace.